Podcast, WATP.
There's this podcast that's very popular called Fly on the Wall. It's Dana Carvey and David Spade, and they're typically talk to people about SNL. A lot of times it's people who've been on SNL as a cast member or a host, and they chat about what it's like to be there. They just started up a brand new show called Superfly. And I'll read you the description of the show. It says, on Superfly, Carvey and Spade will riff on current events, pop culture, social clips, and audience submissions with their trademark hilarity, absurdity, and impressions, with guests appearing from time to time. Now, I was a fan of Dana Carvey. I like David Spade.
Right.
David Spade's very funny. Dana Carvey's lost his mind. Yeah. This fucking guy is just constantly going into impressions. He doesn't really have good improv skills.
It's just Paul McCartney and Jimmy Stewart.
You've named a couple of them, yeah.
Yeah.
But he just goes off. So when they're left to their own devices and they're just kind of riffing or whatever, it sometimes gets really bad. And I'll give you an example. Do you guys remember Michael Winslow?
Yeah.
Yeah, Michael Winslow from Police Academy and Spaceballs.
Yeah.
Very funny guy with all the sound effects.
Yeah.
Apparently, Dana Carvey thinks he's fucking Michael Winslow now.
Of course he does.
We've had a lot of rain in California, and it's just a mess. I mean, I'm going out in the rain. I'm walking to my car, and the grass is like soaked, so it's like, you know. And then I open the door. I don't know if it's the rust from the rain. It's like, you know. So I get in the seat. It's leather. So you know, I'm a safe driver, so I check the rearview mirror. You know.
Yeah.
And I put the windshield wipers on because it's pouring rain.
It's like talking to a child.
I don't have a drop for that.
No, there is no drop for that.
And I pulled out a knife to make a sandwich, and it went swing. Well, yeah, we get what you're doing.
Yeah.
I'm mad at David for enabling him.
He's doing a David Spade impression with his hairdo.
This is David's job, is to enable this guy. Yeah. And it's unfortunate because someone needs to at some point just go, Dana, stop it. It's not, you're not being cute or funny. But instead, Dana will be like, oh, that was dumb. And Dana will be like, no, it's great. Yeah. You're great. This is so fun.
Oh, so he's trolling him.
Correct me. Didn't they already have a show together, though?
That was what I thought.
Fly on the Wall.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
This is their spin-off show, Superfly.
What's the difference?
Oh.
Well, I read you the description.
I don't remember the description of the other one.
They riff on current events, pop culture, social clips, and audience submissions with their trademark hilarity, absurdity, and impressions.
Oh, so they're making the audience do the work for them now, instead of them coming up with
What's crazy is that if you watch Fly on the Wall or listen to Fly on the Wall, they always have a guest on.
Right.
This show could be just these two riffing, but then it says in the description, with guests appearing from time to time. And on this one, they had Jason Kelsey, the center from the Eagles who just retired.
Oh, well, let me ask you
Who's
this.
hilarious.
Is anything off limits?
Nothing is off limits, Andy. Don't worry about that.
No sound effect is off limits.
Well, what's sad about the sound effects bit that Dana Carvey just did is that he makes David bad. Because now David's trying to I can riff with you on this.
When I get in my car, I have like 18 seat adjustments. So I'm like this. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
You don't have it all preset. You're just. Boy. Well.
Oh boy.
They're both uncomfortable for that one. Oh boy.
Being old is hilarious.
Oh boy. Well, speaking of being old, Dana Carvey, he's always doing voices and wacky voices, and he doesn't have good material, so he's trying to cover it up with voices. And he does have good impressions and stuff, but it just doesn't work when it's not scripted for him, apparently. But even here, he realizes that this didn't work, but he doesn't understand the reason why it didn't work.
But in real life, we're not showing enough of my sweater. Looks like it's from the fucking Gap. But it's not.
Happy Days called and wants their wardrobe back. That's the show from 1978.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So
Old reference lost on younger viewers. Okay.
I'm driving.
That wasn't the problem. We all know what Happy Days is. We all know that it was in the 70s, but based on the 50s. And it made zero sense in this context.
Didn't make any sense.
That sweater does not look like it was from the 50s. So that's why that didn't work. He's
Or
just
like it's from the Gap.
Well, that was David Spade's bit.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Neither of them were correct in this.
No, this is pretty bad. It's pretty cringy. This is why my buddy Mike told me. He goes, it's so cringe to hear Dana Carvey trying to riff and be funny. And he always goes through the same things over and over again, like you were saying. So they're talking about this story. There was a stingray that was in this aquarium. There's no other stingrays, and it gets pregnant. So it's like a news story. Like, how the fuck did this happen? And for some reason, Dana Carvey has to go to his go-to thing.
No,
Are you going to play it or no?
I don't think so. It's just a stingray
picture.
that's very cute. It was in an aquarium full of sharks, so they didn't know how. There was no other stingrays in there. That's the story.
So it's like a immaculate conception. So
yes.
as a Beatle would say it, well, there was a little, a little aqua creature, that has a
Which Beatle is that? As a Beatle would say, they all have distinct voices. And Dana does do a good Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
But he's just like doing a generic Beatle, a hybrid Beatle right here.
As a Beatle would say it, well, there was a little, a little aqua creature,
the Beatles are always like, oh, the aqua creature.
Well, maybe Ozzy said that. But.
It's almost more of an Ozzy impression. I agree. But he does slip into a Paul here coming up.
that has a stinger. They call her the stingrays. She's a lady, but she's with sharks. And they don't ever get together. The shark doesn't go, would you be my girlfriend? Never happens. But all of a sudden, she's preggers, going to give her babies, right? And they don't know how. It may have been
That's a good
a
one.
miracle.
Don't know how.
They don't know how. See, the key, if anyone's listening, the key.
We are. So he's going to explain the key to doing a Beatles impression.
Oh my God, that went on as long as the movie Master of Disguise. Jesus,
Good point. We should
Christ.
we should break that movie down. Holy shit, that movie sucks. So he goes into the explanation of how to do a Paul McCartney impression, and then when he shows you examples, he does it wrong. Which is weird right here. Watch this.
The key to doing a Beatle accent is always sound like you're asking a question. Hey, Paul, did you go to the store? I told you. I went to the store. Yeah. Did you go or not? I just told you. I went to the store.
Oh,
That's
you
a thing.
you did or didn't?
Cut it out.
So
Yeah, please.
None of those sounded like questions.
no, he's not doing it with the right inflection to make it sound like it's a question. And David again is just like, no, that's great. That's good stuff. That's right. You're killing it.
Never heard it.
Explaining it does not make it any funnier.
You're killing it over there, Dana. Great job. All right. So now we're going to go into impressions that include Joe Biden and Nicolas Cage. David has no idea what to do with this.
There's better. Here's my news story, and I don't know if it's true, but when Biden is giving a speech and stuff, he's got his staff backstage, and sometimes President Biden will go off the teleprompter and meander about, and his staff gets very emotional about it. Like, oh my, he's off the teleprompter. He's off the teleprompter. So I don't know if this is true, but one of them knew Nicolas Cage. So they bring in Nicolas Cage backstage, and he expresses how emotionally they are. He's like sort of a therapy guest. So Biden's out there, and then the dog, and we went out in the river, and then the staff's going, no. And Nicolas Cage goes, all right. And he drops to his knees and goes, why, God, why? That was a long way to go.
I like it. How do you know where we went?
Was that a good Nicolas Cage impression?
Christ,
That's
no,
like
but-
me doing Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, and he doesn't have a Biden impression? Was that supposed
That
to be
was
a
his Biden impression.
That was fucking terrible.
It's not great. It's not the best.
What the
Producer
fuck?
Chris is just like, what's going on right now?
Well, I'm again mad at David.
Yeah. David's trying to bail him out.
Yeah, I kind of.
I feel like David is looking off into the sunset, like, just get me out of here, but I don't know how to do it.
Yeah. Well, these guys have been working together for a while now, and these shows are very popular. They get big guests. It's entertaining when David Spade's talking to a guy I like. Then I enjoy it. I think it's a pretty good show. But Dana Carvey goes off on these things like, he's not even doing an impression here. He's just like out of it. He's just dumb. He's been in show business too long. They're talking about J-Lo. And they pulled up a story about, J-Lo's got a new album out and a movie or something like that. And they're talking about how hot she looks.
I like, for people not in show business, it's really hard. I mean, Jennifer Lopez is just incredibly, to stay that fit, just that. And you got to be camera ready every time you leave your house. And then she does albums. She's jumping, singing. She does movies. What are you going to do?
He goes, for people who aren't in show business, you don't understand how hard it is to be in shape in your 50s. Well, that's the one thing we all know. That's the one thing that all of us know about, regardless of show business, dummy. Well, then you got to do your job on top of that. Yeah, no, that's why it's impressive. We get it. No one's sitting here going like, well, it's easy for her. She's a celebrity. No, it's very difficult. I don't know why you think that we don't get that. But
Yeah, we can't all be like you, Dana.
Oh my God.
Even during ad reads, Dana's got this weird thing in his head where he just turns on his catchphrases from SNL and his impressions from SNL. Like he can't help it. It just comes out of him.
No antibiotics, no added hormones.
Nope, not gonna do it.
Nothing artificial.
I'm just doing an ad read, and then I got that one bit brown. Like,
Waka waka.
yeah, that was funny in 1991, Dana. What are you doing? Why are you still doing George H.W. Bush?
I remember
I don't know.
distinct. Go ahead.
David Spade has a Joe Dirt hat behind him, so
Oh yeah, he does.
That's awesome. But I remember distinctly everybody remembers the Chop and Broccoli comedy bit. And then he came out and had another special after that, and his kids had been born. And it was terrible.
Yeah, someone sent us a voicemail talking about how kids ruin comedy.
Yeah.
Recently.
And
I think that might be true.
Dana Carvey is the epitome of that trope of once you have kids, you start worrying about them instead of being funny.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's just what happened to him.
My kids love it when I do these voices.
Yeah.
I'm sure they do. You can also just jiggle your keys, and they get very excited about that too.
Yeah, he's not doing the voices.
So now they have a segment on here where the listeners send in videos of them doing impressions.
This is like Armchair Expert now.
It is a little bit like Armchair Expert, except for the fact that the listeners are actually semi-entertaining, and this isn't bad.
All right, this
Okay,
is
go ahead. We don't know
Jonathan
who this is.
Emmerling.
Hey,
We've never seen
Dana
this.
and David, 3 quick impressions for you. Impression number 1, Jordan Peterson at the birth of his daughter.
Oh, 3.
This is the happiest I've ever been in my life. Number 2, Nick Offerman relaying some disappointing news.
Okay.
He said no. And impression number 3 is Severus Snape sexually harassing Harry Potter. Mr. Potter, if you wish to pass this class, I suggest you remove your blouse and underclothes immediately. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Actually, okay.
Well, first of all, yeah. Offbeat impressions. You don't hear a lot of Nick Offerman. And what was the first one?
It just happened. It was a very short video.
Even
He did a good job.
I have ADD and I remember.
Jordan Peterson was the first one. They did. So now Dane has to do his Jordan Peterson because of course he does.
Jordan Peterson sort of has a high kind of Canadian voice. Women don't like men that are too weak or to baby them. Mine's bad. His was actually
that's
accurate.
good.
No, it's great.
Again, David Spade, that's like his role on this. No, you're doing great. You're very funny. You still got it. We promise you, Danny, you still got it. And Dave's just like, I don't know, I should have done that.
You're important. You're talented. You're good looking.
So then another listener, Allie, puts a video on and she's doing her Jennifer Coolidge impression. I won't bore you with that. And again, Dana just can't stop himself. He has to go into his standard impressions. And I'm pretty sure David cuts him off on this one. He's like, okay, this is enough.
But that was a very I had not heard a Jennifer Coolidge impression. So that was
All right. Let's go to another one.
Wrap it up. You need to wrap it up.
Yeah, we get it. Weird, wild stuff. All right. Can we please move on to something else? Holy shit. Dana's been doing these bits for 40 years now. What is he doing? All right. So last clip I have on here. And David Spade says, hey, I actually got an impression for you, Dana. And David does a very funny bit that I'm not going to play. That's not what we do here. We're the funny people on this show. So David goes through this thing like Jason Statham was the Beekeeper, this movie, The Beekeeper.
Oh, yeah.
And so he was like, I thought about this in the shower today. And he goes off on this whole thing that's very funny. And so, of course, Dana has to get involved. And Dana's very bad at improv.
He just likes the
I want to
title
just be that
Beekeeper.
guy. I'm just going to call for a restaurant. We'd like a reservation. They like 4 seats, and I know how to get them.
Okay, what's the name?
The Beekeeper.
Oh.
And I'd like a plate
Okay.
of fresh bees, fried bees.
I don't know where this is Tower Bar. We don't have, okay, well, we can find something. We have honey packets.
We'll find something for you. Yes, I like honey packets.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Nick Swardson had a better bit.
It does sound like he's in like one of those like K-hole loops, like Nick Swardson was in. So here we go. All right, here we go. Jason Statham. Here we go.
He's going to get walked off.
Yeah, right.
Get the fucking hook.
Wow.
David, what happened to the sound?
This is crazy. I got to keep an eye on
my
this
God.
show. Dana Carvey's fucking impressions. He can't stop himself from doing this shit. And David's very polite. I got to give it to him. Very polite about it.
Who are these podcasts? WA